Status combat assist activated. Systems green.
Hello citizens, welcome to another episode of an Avionics Technician's Guide. My professional experience between the MV-22, both 737 MAX and NG, and now the KC-46 Pegasus has made me enjoy analyzing the ships within the verse. For returning viewers and subscribers, your timestamp is in the description and pinned comment. But if this is your first time watching and you want to further broaden your knowledge of the Star Citizen universe, then start now by subscribing and turning on all notifications to get my latest guides, tutorials, and other analytical content. Also, be sure to check out other videos within my channel. These are there to set you up for success. And if you end up enjoying this series, then tell me what ship you'd like to see next in the comments below. Now, enough with the gibberish. Let's analyze the ship in full detail, the Vanguard Warden. Today, we'll start off with a pre-flight walk-around where we examine the weapons package and exterior of the ship. We'll do an interior inspection showing current features the ship offers in aircrew fighting positions. We'll quickly look at the flight deck, analyze the flight performance, the components, go over some of my personal tactics and loadouts, and wrap up the video with my final thoughts on the ship. Let's begin. The Warden, the heavy fighter, 1 out of 4 of Vanguard variants, modular design, long range, featuring an escape pod, and most importantly, it offers redundancy, with almost 2 of every component and 2 engines. This ship can literally get ripped in half and yet still limp home. This ship can basically take a hit from almost anything but the developers themselves. Seriously though guys, the history of this ship has made it very controversial due to the changes it went through. But by the end of this video, my goal is to convince you on why it's still a damn good ship, regardless if it's in your fleet. So watch till the end ladies and gents, cause it just gets better. Now, let's get a closer look and discuss the ship as we start our pre-flight walk around. I'll see you on the ground. Starting off our walk around to the front of the ship, we have the 4-mounted MVSA size 2 energy cannons and the gimbal size 4 Revelant Gatling gun just underneath. Also with the rework, the ship has glowing intakes too. Now just below this is the nose landing gear that are now more heavy in nature to make the whole ship feel like it has weight to it. And even further aft to either side, we have a set of 2 size 3 missiles. And even further is the main landing gear, which also has treads. Moving to the rear of the ship is the nacelles that encase the massive engines, all incorporated with engine struts for support. And on the top of the ship, we have the new redesigned folding wings, and I love how they have vortex generators along the wings and on top of the ship as well. Oh, by the way, these help reduce airflow separation. And toward the front, we have the next set of missiles. The Warden now has a shoulder-mounted launcher on either side, holding 4 size 2 missiles. Now with our walk around complete, let's take a look at the inside of the ship, guys. At the ramp, once closed, you have a component location for your size 2 quantum drive, and above is a screen to the right. The next room forward is the swappable living module that will also be the escape pod in the future. To my left is the kitchen, and oh how I love how they added the tiny little latches to keep everything stationary. And just in front is the weapons rack for the crew. To my right is the head and shower incorporated into one, and just in front is the storage unit. Moving forward is the engineering station, and the avionics rack just in front for the 2 computers it will be holding. And across the way is the beds, and above is the turret. Now the turret itself holds 2 size 2 guns of your choosing, and you have a decent angle of fire to keep your threats away. And back into the module, just above you can see this tiny little camera, well what seems to be one. Now the next room forward has the radar storage rack below the stairs, a life support system, 2 power plants, shield generators, and coolers. Coming into the flight deck, at the controls you have the power on switches, the quantum drive switches, and the unlock and lock switches across the dash. You of course have your standard 4 MFDs all within reaching distance, and in the middle is your radar screen. Overall, the flight deck's view is satisfactory. It could be better. Now, with our flight deck inspection complete, let's take a first spin. I'll see you back in the air. Flight-wise, the ship is a tank, so expect it to move like one. In fact, your roll rating is a solid 108, and your yaw and pitch rating is 54. Now let's actually look at the components that make up the ship. The Warden has a Crossfield Size 2 Grade C military class quantum drive, 2 Size 2 Grade C military class Arctics, 2 Maelstrom Size 2 Grade C military class power plants, and the ship has 2 full stop Size 2 Grade C military class shield generators. Now, the Warden being a larger ship means there are currently a very limited amount of selection for Size 2 components in the verse, but this will definitely change in the future. Anyways, to learn more about ship components, check out my personal video on how components work. Now, let's discuss some tactics and loadouts. So I have 2 loadouts I abide by. The first one is the standard loadout with the exception of the 2 lower missile racks underneath the belly. These so happen to be the number 3 and 4 missile racks that can be swapped out in your mobi glass. These racks are turned into the MSD-481 missile rack, giving me 8 size 1 missiles on each rack for a grand total of 16 size 1 missiles under the belly. And with the missile ordnance buff, each one is doing almost 3k DPS. This loadout is for ships of equal size or smaller. The shoulder mounted missile rack will not be changed because I believe this will be bespoke in the future, meaning you can change out the missiles but not the rack itself. Currently you can swap them out, but the missiles will not show up in the launcher and it will launch through the ship. For the top turret, I have the gunner put on scatter guns for point defense and that's about it. Overall, this loadout provides me versatility in a multi-role situation and where a ship is in very close range. And depending on the situation, I'll swap out the nose gun for a size 4 C-788 ballistic autocannon, which so happen to specializes in armor penetration and taking out larger and slower targets. And now my second loadout, I call it the Fleet Defender. I put the infamous M7A on the nose and 2 size 4 missiles under the belly, and I'm hunting larger ships only. Each missile is doing almost 6k DPS, and since I only have 2 size 4, I need to make them count, hence only using them against the larger targets to guarantee the hit. The top turret, I don't worry about in this case. I just find a set of guns that fits the bill if I were you. Anyways, to learn more about customizing your ship, then check out my own tutorial on how ship hardpoints work at the end of this video. Just remember, citizens, all I'm trying to do is give you a recommendation. So if you find or buy a loadout and you have a strategy that fits you well, then please use it, because at the end of the day, it is your choice. Now, as for my own thoughts on the ship with the analysis we just went through, to me, this reminds me of the F-14 Tomcat, the actual fleet defender, designed to intercept Russian bombers like the Tu-95. I feel like the Warden is now designed to intercept larger ships like the Retaliator or even the Constellation, and has the range of an F-15 Charlie. It is slow and bulky, but it can still outmaneuver most larger ships, and it can still take a beating. Also, remember this, guys. In the future, this ship is supposed to have an adequate amount of armor, meaning that it will be even more of a tank. Theoretically, one smaller fighter alone should have a hard time fighting it, but just like Tusken Raiders, in greater numbers, you will prevail. I also believe that this would be a go-to ship for escorting larger vessels, because the Warden's warp speed may not be as fast as larger ships, but it's still better than a smaller fighter. And, of course, with the superior range, means less time waiting and faster time getting to the destination. And as I said in the beginning, this ship offers modularity because of the swap of modules, and redundancy in case of component failure. And with degradation, I feel like this is very necessary. This is what separates it against a traditional light fighter, guys. It's not necessarily because of the DPS, it's because of the survivability. Sadly, guys, overall, I CCU'd mine to a Harbinger because logically to me, it has missiles and torpedoes, and it still has the similar hardpoints like the Warden, and it also has a rocket pod turret on the top. For me, I don't think the escape pod will be an option for me for now, so I'll just buy a Warden in-game eventually because after all, it was the second ship I had ever purchased. Speaking of purchasing, as of now, a very basic ship rental system is here, and the Warden is available for roughly $3.3 million at Lorville. And for the release of 3.6, it is back on sale for the higher non-war bond price of $260 US, or the war bond price that will lock in $10 off, being $250. With the exception of the Ballista, you will not get LTI on the Warden or any other ship that is flyable in 3.6 unless you CCU to it with an LTI token. So, you can work your way towards this ship if it's not currently in your fleet overall. But of course, it's your journey overall, so use the ship as you please. As always, I thank you for the love and support. If you enjoyed this video and you got something out of it, then I ask you to share it with everybody as possible and make sure you like it. Also, tell me your own thoughts on the Warden in the comments below. And again, feel free to subscribe Remember, ladies and gents, your subscriptions help me reach out to even further to the community so they can also benefit from my analytical content. And feel free to further support me on Patreon. It's never necessary, but it's always appreciated. But until next time, fellow citizens, I will see you on the flip side.